City as well as country has much to say to soldiers on tour. They get to know Trafalgar Square, center of the city of London. The square got its name from a great naval victory in the war against Napoleon over 100 years ago. Another vast conflict in which England fought against a dictator aiming at world conquest. But few give thought to how the square got its name in the pleasure of strolling and enjoying the diversions of the British public. Britons are more relaxed than we are, and their life sometimes seems much less high-pressured than ours. But visiting with pigeons and people is as good a way as any to get next to this nation's placid manner of enjoying itself. You learn over here how to respond to the simple things. Many a soldier brings back to his homeland, from such quiet and undramatic moments as this, a riper knowledge of the mutual understanding that binds two great nations together. Famous the world over is Westminster Abbey, resting place of England's honored dead for many centuries. Even the slightest acquaintance with English history and literature makes a trip to the Abbey an awesome moment. Within, the visitors thrill to the busts of distinguished men whose great writings and deeds have become household words wherever English is spoken. In the Abbey is a bust of Milton, a statue of the immortal Shakespeare. Along the River Thames in London, the soldiers glimpse one of the most famous vistas in the world, those Gothic towers known everywhere as the Houses of Parliament. They are told that here is where representative government started, for Britons were the first people of modern times to rule themselves. Here also stands a great clock, the famed Big Ben, its tower dominating the scene. Big Ben has become world famous as a kind of international symbol for the City of London. A glance at Parliament in session tells the visitors where America got some of her ideas on representative government. And on Parliament's wall, a mural of the signing of the Magna Carta lingers in our visitors' memories as they walk away. For this ancient episode foreshadowed America's much later Declaration of Independence. It's exciting to stroll here, realizing that you are in the center of the British Commonwealth of Nations, a group of nations all over the globe, held together by mutual consent. This is their capital. This entire district, called Westminster, is the hub of the British Commonwealth, and the visitors don't intend to miss any of its points of interest. Everybody has heard of number 10 Downing Street, official residence of the Prime Minister, a house world famous as the living quarters of such great statesmen as Disraeli, Lloyd George, and Winston Churchill. No serious visitor to London has ever missed a glance at this famous unpretentious door at which kings and presidents have paid their respects. Another must among London residences is Buckingham Palace, traditional home of Britain's king and queen for generations. For all their love of self-government, the English people still deeply cherish the traditions of royal pomp and ceremony. Soldiers on guard duty dress as they did 100 years ago, all of which is something of a novelty to today's quietly clad American soldiers. But however theatrical they may consider British dress uniforms to be, Americans somehow never fail to get a kick out of them and to send the folks a picture. A spectacle you're lucky to catch is one of those royal appearances. The British turn out for these affairs in great numbers. They revere their royal family deeply, considering it the embodiment of England's many centuries as a leading European power. Britain's Queen is still one of the eminent personages in today's world, a great lady ruling a great land. It's a fine town, London, and there are a host of things to be seen in it. But every once in a while, a man has to slow down and take a breather, and maybe think over some of the myriad impressions that have been crowding in on him. History, literature, royalty, they're all here, contained within a few square miles, and you will take these impressions back to the post and back home, and remember them all the rest of your life. Another bit of pageantry that our boys respond to is the changing of the guard at Westminster, one of the most famous military rituals in the world, and one which no visitor wants to miss. Here again, Britons appear in the colorful uniforms of another century, with all the stateliness of the historic past. Guardsmen are used to being stared at. Some say they like it. Modern soldiers functioning in today's mechanized world find no military significance in this elaborate ceremonial. But it's still a swell show. Something like a parade back home to American eyes. The English will tell you that these brilliantly clad troops in their time-honored passing to and fro before an admiring public are the official guard of the British King and Queen. The changing of the guard is one of the paradoxes of Britain. It has all pomp and dignity of military display, yet it is carried out entirely for peaceful purposes to the delight of a free and democratic nation. But British life isn't all tradition and ceremony. Strolling about, the soldiers are told that London continues to be one of the world's great banking centers. It's a shopping center, too, where the streets radiate out from Piccadilly Circus. The name this public square was given by the ancient Romans many centuries ago. No trip to London is complete without a look at some of those internationally famous British shops, each with its own particular specialty. Now is a fine time to inspect some of the products which Britain advertises the world over, whose quality and reliability make every man want to possess them. Soldiers find that British salespeople are more impersonal and less high pressure than ours, but in their quiet way, they give you service as impeccable as their merchandise. You also find the famous London motor buses are as good as they're cracked up to be, safe in operation, courteously run. The conductors on these vehicles are glad to tip you off about points of interest, and they'll tell you not to miss seeing London after dark. When you watch the crowds gathering in downtown London at night, you see the world's largest city at play. It's a cosmopolitan town like New York or San Francisco, and the evening skies are brightened by neon signs advertising all manner of things. The signs may not be as big as ours, but the atmosphere is relaxed and friendly.